The two-headed dragon spews flames, while the sorceress manages to put up a defense. The wizards use their combined powers to defeat the monster, and a girl comes to their rescue. Chat rages on, spreading her wings. An angelic glow began to emanate from the new player, whose name was Lee Saul. It meant casting a very strong skill. Suddenly, a statue of a warrior fell from the sky and struck the monster with his spear. The mages continued their attacks and attacked the monster, when suddenly, they were signaled to retreat. This meant one thing. A very powerful blow is about to be used, and everyone must retreat for their own safety. A fiery glow enveloped the battlefield, and the fire dragon incinerated the shadow creature with its crushing blow. The chat is ecstatic, while people are celebrating, congratulating each other and triumphing. The protagonist takes off his helmet and, talking on the phone, resents that he will be paid so little. He backs out and agrees to be a meat shield for the whole month, which makes him upset. He is upset over this. His friend who has come to visit advises him not to be discouraged, as there are very few people who can support themselves through this game and not to worry about it. Hangwoo recalls the game itself and realizes that he has a certain talent for the game, remembering that he was quite a famous pitcher and it helped him quite a bit in terms of leveling up. Talking to Hakju, they recall that he got his character Midas when he spent all his money, and Hen vowed not to do that again. But he must go his own way in order to protect his family. After discussing the creation of the novel with Ju, the protagonist walked home in the rain, while pondering his conversation with his friend. Hearing the sound of tires, he turned around just in time to notice a car coming at him and froze on the spot. The truck crashed into the pool without hitting Hen, much to his surprise. A 911 call by passers-by. As he walks away from the scene, an electric pole falls, which electrocutes the guy and causes an ambulance to be called. While unconscious, he remembers how the whole world was waiting for the game War of the Gods and for certain personalities. This game has become a way to make money. Waking up in a hospital room, he finds a doctor in front of him, who informs him that he only has a burn and can leave, but not before he pays the bill for the services provided, which dumbfounded the guy a lot. As he walks down the street, he gets upset about the unplanned expense, but remembers that he should be glad he wasn't hurt. The code lock won't let him into his apartment, but a little girl named Heelin opens to him, with whom he cheerfully greets his brother, Jong Ti-woo. After telling him that the lock is broken, the hero comes across the unexpected news that the biometric algorithm is not wrong and uses the same principle as in War of the Gods. Shocked to the core, he says he goes to the capsule cafe, ignoring his brother. At the cafe, the situation was no better. His credentials didn't match and the support of the War of the Gods didn't help, just dropped him off the phone. Back home, he pondered, how could biometric data not match? After all, it's the most reliable identifier of all. And almost immediately the realization came. All this could be because of yesterday's electric shock. He couldn't even look up the time for the next raid. It was over. He has no choice but to go back into the game as a miner or worse. He needs to take care of his family, and on reconnecting, he got busy making a character again. After spending a lot of money, he had a choice of which class to take, and out of habit he was already reaching for a mage. Noticing an unusual glow from one of the classes, he chose it and got a class Archimage with a legendary rarity and the ability to learn any magic. Looking around, he notices people who get the most common classes and their efforts to knock out a more powerful class are unsuccessful. Realizing what opportunity he is now given, he with great enthusiasm decided to pump up as fast as possible and go to conquer raids. He begins to level up quickly, thinking it was just a bug, and thinks he'll be given a basic class when he logs on again. But when he does his first quest, he is stunned to discover he is actually seeing hidden quest information. Realizing what a boost to his characteristics he will get just by completing the right training, the hero begins to shake a little with tension, which caused the other players to be perplexed. Transferring with other players to the training battlefield, they were spotted by orcs, over which the aggro status glowed, invisible to all but Wu. Only by beating a player to death would he move on to the main game, and some players took advantage of this too, to pass training. Whereas, the protagonist, learning his new abilities, realized that he can see what kind of drop-off they will fall out and how the aggro system is arranged. Realizing that no one else knows about this rank, he completes the task. As he emerges from the capsule, he is overcome with elation. He was not dreaming. He really owns the class of Archimage and has gained an achievement that gives a boost to all characteristics. His friend came over to ask him why he had started over and if everything was okay. He then slips back into the capsule and realizes that if he reveals to anyone that he is an Archimage, the hunt will be on. Once in the starting town, he discovers a strange glow on the ground, which transformed into a quest with a dog, which he hadn't noticed before. Being under a strong impression, the hero realizes in front of him is a legendary quest, which he has never seen, concluding on getting the doggy drunk with the revitalizing elixir of resurrection. But without the Explorers Guild, Wu can't complete the quest. Grudgingly, he went to them for a basic course and went straight to the quest Hayden's errand to get to the legendary quest. Upon receiving the quest, the hero sets out to complete it and raises his level, which entitles him to a new skill. Luck bypassed him, but at least issued a skill that he had last time. Back at Hayden's place, he completes the quest and sees all the other quests related to it. Posing as a rookie, he surrenders goblin skins to the old man and finally gets the elixir he needs. Running to the quest, he gives the dog the potion and is rewarded with the title Master of the Divine Beast, to which he is upset. Checking his characteristics, he sees an inscription that he should give his pet a name and names him Lucky. A sharp glow fills the entire space, and to Wu's surprise, he is forced out of the system. As he passes his acquaintances, he is not distracted by them, immersed in his thoughts. This dog turns out to be Fenrir, enchanted wolf, which has no equal in battle. What the protagonist, unspeakably happy. However, his joy was short-lived and interrupted by a phone call which made him run to the hospital. His brother, Ti-Wu, is in the hospital because of kidney failure. Everything comes down to money and the hero has no choice. He has to become the best and get rich, thanks to the good fortune that has fallen to him. Walking down the street, he realized that now he could play alone because he has such a cool companion. Remembering the legendary skill card he had left, he used it, where luck smiled on him again. He learned telekinesis, the reception of a unique rarity. Defeating goblins time after time, he was pumping himself up, when suddenly he noticed a message about a raid on a boss. He's surprised and realizes there's less than an hour left. Wu remembers that every raid like this comes with high-profile broadcasts, large sums of money, and great rewards. He decides to go on the raid alone to get a good prize and finally get some money. After waiting for the right amount of time, the hero acts against the monster in a mask, which uses different types of attacks depending on his condition. Holding out long enough with Lucky, Wu throws the monster into the abyss, and at this point, the boss's style changes. However, this does not help him. Gaining the title Goblin Champion Hunter, he gets experience, some rewards, among which was the Mask of the Goblin Champion, which costs $910. Determined to sell it, he gets a call from the insurance company, whom he asked to call back a little later. He meets up with his acquaintance Hekju and asks for a $300 deposit on his balance, saying that he's been paid his insurance, as he's pressed for pity and can now focus on his character. He uses his character as an archer, shooting goblins and hitting them with arrows while under Lucky's protection, allowing him no fear of attacks from the back. After collecting so much loot from the mobs, the guy finds a nice set, but is annoyed. Nothing legendary, he falls when suddenly he hears another player screaming and sees that he put a huge monster, removing the last HP. What was mistaken for a monster was just a gang of thieves and robbers, humiliating people who are weaker than them. Even more so, they were attacking in droves. Wu was about to leave and suddenly decided to see if they were stronger than the Goblin Champion. After following them to the rookie camp, he averted an attack on the girl and struck Chen with a fireball, who fell motionless. Introducing himself to them in person, he introduces himself as the Archimage streamer and hits the other with an ice arrow, much to the dismay of the guys. One tries to run, but Lucky successfully stops him and the Archimage uses an ice spell on him, hearing the news that he will remember him. Having defeated the bandits, he proudly receives new items, among which turned out to be leather armor and Goblin Champion pants, a unique rarity. Almost jumping with happiness, he sees his characteristics, which have greatly increased, but is frightened by Lucky, who howled, showing that he is entitled to a new skill. After getting an equally lucky skill for Lucky, the treasure hunter, Wu recalls the luckiest player in the War of the Gods, Lapo, and begins to suspect that his Fenrir smart guy has the exact same skill. Traveling through the forest with Fenrir, he collects rare item after item, when suddenly, the wolf cub leads him to a hidden dungeon, surprising the hero. He had never found a dungeon of unique rarity, so he decided to take the chance and scour it. Traveling through the dungeon, he gets to the boss and with the purpose of defeating, attacks the monster and his minion. Sensing his physical and magical superiority, he uses a fire skill to fry the monster. Having almost defeated the shaman, he waits for his attack and, with the help of his faithful companion, copes with the mage, which he is unspeakably happy about. Behind him, a sharply new adversary appears in the form of a talking goblin, to which the Archimage pays no attention, continuing to consider the loot that fell out. After deciding that he could sell the shaman's staff, he is quickly disappointed, for it is impossible to do so. Suddenly, Hen-Wu is distracted by the inscription, the main quest created. In an exasperation, he remembers that there is a main quest in the game, which no one could find for years. He finds it and goes through it on his own. What a stroke of luck. After opening the next card skill, he gets the ability Polymorph to reincarnate in the creatures he kills. Then he gets very cheerful and happy mood. On the quest, he finds Yoon's house and must talk to him about the nameless god. which he does by infiltrating the NPC's house. Having received a new quest, he is rewarded with a ring to show Sakhalin, and his quest will thus continue, which the protagonist, insanely happy. With Yoon's help, the hero enters the second city and goes straight ahead, leaving behind the players who have just arrived in Vig's city, warning Lucky to be careful and not to get out if necessary. He goes in search of Sakhalin with a smile to his ears over the piled-up happiness. After reaching her house in a dark neighborhood, he finds the right house and meets Sakhalin, to whom he confidently shows the ring. However, it is not that simple. Seeing the ring, she says that the hero is not worthy and that to become worthy must kill 10,000 orcs. Wu is incapacitated by this. Strongly upset, the hero is not going to give up in looking for exactly that orc, from which should fall the desired object. Only a mishap. Having found it, he discovers that another group is aimed at him and, thinking over his plan, notices that the tank has dissolved into thin air, followed by a damager, pretending to stream the game. The Archimage responds to a cry for help and attacks the orc with the wolfman. Lucky gnaws at the monster, distracting it to itself. Next, the mob reaches the fireball and ice arrow. Wu is very pleased with his damage, because, for so many years he managed on pure persistence and sends another ball to the enemy, burning his last HP. The game loads the tank, which briefly lagged and he was thrown out. Getting their thanks, he had to think through and execute his plan. Posing as a streamer, he says that his subscribers want to see the drop of a monster, but he denies because there are rules. A group of newcomers consulted and gave all the loot from the monster in gratitude for his help, barely containing a joyful exclamation. The hero collects a shard and is about to return, as a newcomer approaches him and asks to say what his nickname is. After thinking, he called himself Archimage Streamer and returned to Sakhalin, who was suspicious of how quickly he got the right item. After receiving Farcast as his new skill, he is pleased with himself, and it solidifies when he receives a ring from an NPC made from a shard of a nameless god. As he follows the chain of quests, he must find a secret altar in a suspicious forest and is rewarded with a legendary skill card, which leaves him shocked.